All right. Good morning, scholars. Today is March 25th, and sunrise is at 6:45, and sunset is going to be at 7:09. Today in history, we're going to have a number of really important events. We're going to have today is the day that MLK completed his march from Selma to Montgomery. There's also the very famous New York City Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. And then finally, we have in 1997 the release of Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death. So some cool stuff and some very sad stuff that happened on this day in the years past. So our lesson today is going to be focusing on the 1910s and the presidents during that time period. Okay, so let's move on. Today, we're going to be looking at the successes and failures of both Presidents Taft and Wilson as progressive presidents. So you have William Howard Taft, you have Woodrow Wilson, and what were they doing that fits into the progressive time period? Were they creating change? Were they helping people? Were they doing things for the environment? Were they trying to break up businesses? And then also, we're going to look at significant social and cultural events. So, William Howard Taft, 16th Amendment. I think that's going to be one of the major political ones. Economic developments, we have Payne Aldrich. There's going to be a famous Supreme Court case, Standard Oil of Jersey versus U.S. Then you have the social and cultural stuff, the NAACP, Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, which I just mentioned before, and the Great Migration, which I will talk about a little bit at the end of the lesson. Okay, so the 16th Amendment is the power of the government to lay and collect taxes on income. What does that mean, Mr. Foehr? It means that money we make is taxed and we have to give money to the government. Why would they do that? Okay. At this point in time, they were looking to redistribute wealth. They were looking to fund programs. And the way they would do that is by collecting money from the people, taxes. All right. So that's the start of it. And over the course of the last 100+ years, you're going to see different tax brackets. They range from anywhere from the teens to I think the highest now is like 39% or 40% of your income is given to the government. There have been times in history when it's been 90% for the top earners, which sounds crazy, but that's what it was. They were taking that much money. Then it dropped down to 70%, 50%. And it's at different ranges for different incomes, but I'm just talking about like the highest levels. So the really wealthy at different points have had to pay quite a bit of money. And that was the original idea, actually. The original idea was for the super wealthy to be like giving back. And it sort of fits into like kind of the idea of like the social gospel, the gospel of wealth. I mean, with Carnegie and everybody trying to give back, but the government decided they were just going to take it into their own hands and not deal with philanthropists and wait for them to fix the economy or people's situations. Payne Aldrich tariff, 1909. So William Howard Taft runs for the presidency after Teddy Roosevelt, and he says, I'm going to lower the tariff. Okay, the tariff is a tax on imported goods, right? We've talked about that. It's a major way that the government makes money. They tax things on the way that are being imported. So he said he was going to cut it. So what he does is he has a problem taking a stand. So he cut some of them. He cut some of the tariffs. He raised some of the tariffs, and he didn't change some. So guess what that happened? What that did made him very unpopular in his own party. So the Republican Party that he was a part of was split. You had the super conservative group that wanted to, didn't like this. Then you had the progressives that wanted to see it cut, and the Democrats they just were happy seeing the Republicans sort of fall apart. And that's going to lead to major issues later on because Teddy Roosevelt will eventually come out of kind of political retirement, start his own political party, an offshoot of the Republican Party, a progressive offshoot, to challenge and to run for the presidency again. He'll lose, but it's an important moment in history because it showed that social movements can lead to major political parties being broken apart and being challenged. Some things he did that were positive would be his 80 suits against trusts. Again, trusts are like monopolies, so he went after big companies.